Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I've got an interesting video for you today. We're going to be working on a Coleman stove today. This is a model 413H. I picked this up the other day for $10. This is January of 1983. So in this video, I'm going to clean this thing up. It's a little dirty. I'm going to go through it and hopefully we'll get this thing going. So let's go ahead and open this up. Let's see what we got here. It looks like these wings work okay. Those look okay. The grate looks good. Everything's fairly clean. Not super clean, but I'm going to try to get this tank out of here. Okay, we'll definitely work on that. I can hear some fuel rattling around, so does this turn? Yeah, it does. Does this turn? Yep, it sure does, so that's a good sign. Let's open this fuel cap. I'm going to dump all that old fuel right here in this bucket. Hopefully, well, I guess not. There's not much fuel in there. I have a couple common tools that are very simple tools. Got a small crescent wrench and I have a small flat head screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead and start with this flathead screwdriver and take this little label off here. And I can smell that fuel. It smells like they were using Coleman fuel, so that's good. They were using white gas. So we're just going to set that aside right now. Okay, now let's get on over here to this generator, and I'm going to try to take this generator off. See how this goes. Okay, it's unthreading right here, so that's good. So the main thing that I have to say when it comes to working on stuff like this is don't force anything. If things feel tight or something doesn't feel right, don't go too crazy. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this here. Underneath here there's a packing. So let's go back over here again. Yeah, we're just trying to loosen this bad boy off. The generators where a lot of the problems happen with these stoves, so that's why this is an area that I definitely want to pay close attention to. So let's go ahead and turn this a little bit. Let's get this opened up a little bit, and I'm trying to take this nut off. This will allow everything to come apart so that I can clean. Everything right here is tight. So that might mean that generator could be a little bit gummed up. Which, if that's the case, that's okay. Wouldn't be the first generator that I saw that was gummed up. So yeah, that thing doesn't even want to turn. So I just need to take my time here. Don't want to push it too hard. And just keep backing this thing off. I think I'm almost there. There we go. That's what I wanted. Wow, that's clean. So that is super clean, actually. Want to make sure that the tip, that little needle there, make sure that that is intact. I'm going to drag this through the steel wool, so I'm not gonna mess up that tip there. Just one way. That's actually surprisingly clean. A lot cleaner than I thought it would be, because those usually get really dirty. The next part is taking the rest of this generator off. When I get a stove like this, I like completely going through them and cleaning everything and making sure everything's good. There. Now we have our spring inside, and that is clean too. There's nothing on that spring. A lot of times this thing will be gummed plumb full. We'll take the needle here and we'll just poke it in the tip there and see if that tip is clean. This is the jet, this is the little, yep, and it fits right in there. So we definitely know that the tip is clean. Make sure that you don't damage this little needle here. So wow, everything so far is looking good. From here I'm going to go ahead and take this off the tank. There we go. So that's all I need to do there. I'll head back to the shop. And now I've got this loose. We'll take this out. Boy, everything here looks pretty clean. What I want to do is I want to make sure that this lighting lever is working, so when I put it in the up position that it sticks out the bottom there. So as I turn this, that rod goes away and then that rod comes out. That's what I need. See how that comes up and it goes down. So everything in here is working great. So there's no problems here. This lighting lever, all this stuff is working good. So I'm happy about that. There's a little bit of dirt and debris here. We're gonna go ahead and try to take the tank now and see if we can get that fuel out of there. It smells like fuel that's been sitting in there a while. So I'm gonna take my cap. Where's my cap at? I'm gonna take my cap here, just close it a little bit, put my finger over this hole, and I'm gonna just test this pump a little bit. There we go. We built up a little pressure, and it's pushing back a little bit. So that's telling me that the check valve, well, the check valve's actually working. So that looks like the pump's working okay, but I want to go ahead and look at it anyway. So we're going to pull this little ring off. Take a look at the pump while we're here, while we're in the middle of working on this stove. So this is those new ones, and it's pretty dry, but it's in good shape. The pump cup appears to be in really good shape. So that's good. That looks good. I don't think I'm gonna need to take the check valve out. It seems to be working okay. So this thing appears to be in pretty good condition. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the pump back in, and you got that little oil hole. You want that oil hole up, but before I put that on there, I'm gonna just put a couple drops of oil down in there. This is just old motor oil that's been ran through a coffee filter. So I take the old motor oil when I change the oil out of my vehicle, I run it through a coffee filter, and I use that for shop oil for doing things. So we'll put that clip back on, and I'm happy with the pump. Actually, it looks like it's in pretty good condition, so no need to go digging through that too hard. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's definitely working, so that's good. Yeah, I'm looking down in there, and that tank's pretty clean. I'm impressed. It looks pretty good. Very clean tank. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. It was a little bit dirty. There's no dings or dents or nothing scratched too bad anyway. So I'm pleasantly surprised, you know, because like I say, you know, I paid $10 for this stove, and when you buy something like this, you don't really know what you're getting a hold of. You're kind of taking a little bit of a risk. So I'm going to go ahead and put this this lighting lever back in that air tube there. But before I thread that down, I'm going to use some fingernail polish on these threads here. That's like a temporary Loctite, and it kind of gives it like an air it doesn't let it leak air. And it might just be the placebo effect. It might not do nothing, but I might believe that it works, so I do it. Drop that thing down in there, and just remember the orientation of things. The pump is always on the right, so we need this lighten lever to be in that position. So we'll just turn this down, and we don't need to make it gorilla tight or anything like that. We just want to, let me just go for another little bit and we'll call it good. Get it to about right there. And I think that right there, my friends, I think we're good to go. As far as the generator is concerned, I didn't see nothing bad. You'll see the light through the tube there. So that's telling us that the jet is not clogged. So that's a good thing. And this had no carbon buildup at all. This thing was actually very clean. So I'm going to thread this bad boy in. This is still on brass, so you want to be careful not to over thread it or to over tighten it or cross thread it. Things like that. It's very easy to damage this brass valve here, so you want to make sure that you kind of take your time and make sure things are right, that you're not cross threading and stuff like that. Forgot to put my fingernail polish on there, so I'm just going to back it off a few threads. I don't need to do the whole thing because I don't want to have to start those threads again. Let me just go ahead and put a little finger polish on there. That way when I shut that bad boy, it's got like an air seal there. Now I can go back on. Again, this might not do anything, but I believe it works, so I do it. And this doesn't have to be super tight or anything like that. Just snug it up. And then on the other end of things, you don't need to put anything here. Now there's a packing inside of here. There's a little graphite packing, and so you want to tighten this to where it can still spin freely. Be careful when you seat that needle here. Don't want to push too hard. The main thing when you're putting this back together is that you get this thing where it moves freely. Okay, this little valve here. If it's really loose, like if it's real easy to turn right here, you'll tighten this nut a little bit, and what it'll do is it'll squeeze against that packing, and it'll bite a little tighter around this valve here. But in my case, this is already kind of tight, so that means I have a good packing in there. Again, this is something that you don't need to tighten until it's tight. This is something that you tighten to feel. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, this thing is nice. It's in good shape. I'm going to tighten it just a hair more. Just like that. Now we'll take our little piece here, because this is completely closed. So we'll put that little label back on that little disc. It's just a little flathead screw. You can put nail polish on those threads if you want to, but I'm not going to do that right now. And that feels actually pretty good. Feels pretty good. So from here, I'm going to take this stove body into the kitchen. I'm going to clean this out, and I'll be back here in just a minute. Okay, that is clean, but I need to dry this off, so I'm going to put my Mickey Mouse ears on. I'm going to blow this out. One area that I like to make sure to pay attention to with air is shoot a lot of air into this area here, because sometimes bugs like to get in there and make little nests. So I want to make sure I put a lot of air in there. You saw that it blew air out of these burners. That's a good sign that there's no blockages. I don't think there's a need to take these burner rings apart. They hardly ever get gummed up, so I'm just going to go ahead and dry this thing now at this point. You can see I have an old coffee filter here. This is dirty, but what I do is I just stick it down in here, and I fold these back, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this tank. I'm going to use just low grade, low octane gasoline here. So I'm actually going to use this old fuel too, because the first burn, usually after I work on the stove, I burn a whole tank of fuel through it anyway. As long as this is filtered, you'll see all that debris in there in the bottom. That doesn't go into the tank, so I'm actually saving and putting good fuel in there. Even though this fuel might be old, we might get like orange flames and stuff like that because it's old nasty fuel. In the meantime, while that's settling, I'm looking at this cap, and the cap doesn't look too bad. See, that's not too bad. No problems. I'm gonna go ahead and put the fuel cap on. There we go. Let's get those threads started. We're going to go ahead and pressurize our tank at this point. And just a check of the check valve. It's not doing anything wrong. So the check valve appears to be good. Now we will put the tank on the stove, just like so. Valve is in the off position. The lighting lever is in the up position. What that'll do is that'll give us more air than fuel. So I'm going to turn this a little bit. Ignite, and now we're going to wait until we see these flames settle down. We can introduce a little bit more. This is really tight. Kind of like it. Generally this takes about a minute or so. All we're doing here is we're trying to heat up the generator so that it'll turn that liquid into a vapor, into a gas. Once we see that, we can turn that lighting lever down, and we can slowly increase the fuel. Give it some, let it go a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, there's excellent flame control. Let me get a closer look at these flames here for you. If we flip this up, we can light this auxiliary even though the thing is on low. There we go, we got the auxiliary. Now we can crank up the fuel a little bit, and we can really get this thing opened up now. Boy, that's putting out some fantastic looking flames. That's wide open right there. Put this back down. Yeah, it looks like this stove is working good. We have nice blue flames. Check the flame control on this auxiliary burner here. Looks like it's working good. So you could be simmering a pot of coffee over here while you're cooking something over there. So all your flame control could be over here on this burner. Seems like it's pulsing a little bit. I might have pumped it up a little too much, but that's okay. I'll just turn it down a little bit. I definitely have some good pressure in there. So pump's working good, as you can see, and we're definitely getting good flow of the fuel. So what I want to do at this point is I want to test this stove. There's 1 liter of water. Here's my pot. I have a lid here. We're going to take, this is just room temperature water, 1 liter, 32 ounces. Just want to test this. I think I'll leave it uncovered actually. We'll set that bad boy on, crank that thing up, and we will start this timer. Start. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. I didn't turn it up all the way, but I will here in just a second. It's not going to make that big of a difference on the time. I guess I will cover it. Now the last stove that I worked on was actually a propane stove, and it boiled the water in 5 minutes. So let's see how this one does. I think this one's gonna probably do a little bit better. it's definitely working very good. In fact, I am at a rolling boil. I'm going to stop the time and let me show you this. This is crazy. Look at that. We're already at a rolling boil. 2.5 minutes. That is crazy. So in 2.5 minutes, we've accomplished a rolling boil. I mean, that boil is fantastic. It appears that this stove works fantastic. And look at that heavy rolling boil still over here on the auxiliary burner. This was a fun video. I want to say thank you guys for joining me today on this one. This is a fantastic stove. I love working on these old Coleman stoves. They'll last a lifetime if you know how to work on them. Main things to look for is that generator will get gummed up if they're using gasoline. Some people say don't ever use gasoline. I say use gasoline all the time, because as long as you're getting the lowest octane fuel available, you can burn it in these stoves. The worst case scenario, the worst thing that you'll see is you'll see that generator get gummed up. And if you know how to fix that, which is extremely simple, these things can run gasoline their whole life. I don't have a stove that I don't burn gas in. Every single one of them that I have, whether they're dual fuel or not, I run gasoline in them. That is a fantastic flame. Oh man, this thing is cooking. And I like the grate on here, how it gets closer on the center so you can put smaller pots on there. Man, this thing is a monster. This stove performs extremely well. So folks, with all that being said, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this video. I hope you got some good useful information out of it. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video, share this video, and if you're keeping your eye peeled, it's not hard to find these old stoves and fix them up, and then you got something really nice. So until next time, I hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.